G'day all. So today I'm working on a Mitsubishi LS 2004. Family member brings it to me. It says that it needs new rear rotors, new rear pads, but what she didn't tell me was the handbrake doesn't work. So I'll be I've only got the wheel off so far. Stand under the rear end there, and the jack just has extra support. So first of all, I'll be getting the caliper off, and it's only 2 bolts. Take the caliper off, and yeah, we'll get the rotor off and have a look what's going off the handbrake for starters. Okay, so caliper's off. Just hang that with a jockey strap to keep it safe. Piece of wood in there just to stop the pads closing up, and these are just 2 40mm bolts. Remove the caliper. Easy job to do if you're changing handbrake. Not handbrake, sorry, if you're changing rear brake pads, which these two have still got a fair bit of beef on them, so I don't know why her mechanic told her that needs new brake pads, but anyway, if that's what she wants, that's what she gets. So I found the problem, haven't found a solution yet, but handbrake right there, not on, and this arm here is completely movable, so I'll have to get the handbrake pads off and have a look what's going on there. Alright, to inspect this a little bit closer, I'm taking the bearing off. So just get the little cap off with a screwdriver, tap around the seals, and when you get to so far, it doesn't fall off. Just work it off. When you get to that point, undo the nut, but you got to tap out the little lock section as well, which I did as well with that little screwdriver. Just tapped it in underneath until I got that straight. 32mm. Take it off. Use a breaker bar if you wish. I use a torque wrench. Then just pull on it. It comes off relatively easy. And that's that part done. Now looking at the brake here, to get this off, I need to undo an 8mm bolt by the looks of that. I think it's 8mm. And then need to pull these out from the from the cylinder there, and the cylinder looks like it's been riveted on, so it looks like this whole section, 3 bolts, needs to come undone. But anyway, I'll get a little bit further into it and show you that a little bit more. Okay, so now I've got that bolt out. Swing this out of the way. Already got that undone. Didn't expect that to happen though. Okay, so with the rear brake, I'm going to stop that off. Try to get a step ahead just to show you, but anyway, that comes off easy. Don't have to worry about that snapping on you or anything. I mean, like snapping back on you and hurting your hand, or is not breaking half snap. Okay, and then you got this guy here that I've already unbolted. That's about to come off. Should have left a little bit of thread turned in, but anyway, them is the brakes. Also got the sensor unbolted already. Just hanging that over there, just to get that out of the way and get this off. And now this guy here is the brake line's connected to him, obviously. It's getting a bit dark here, but anyway, I'm going to take that off and I'll have a look if this guy is repairable or if it needs to be replaced. Okay, so what's happening here is, I'll give it a clean up and show you again once it's all cleaned up. Just want to show you what it's all filthy. Now that pin there, is what slips into that ball section there, and that holds it in tight there when it's in. When this arm is in here, the part that's not used, it's that's about normal for the flexibility there, but when you come up to the handbrake is off, there is far too much movement and it slips out, that pin there slips out, and the next time you go to use the handbrake there's nothing. So I'll give it a clean up and see if there's some way I can mend that, or am I looking out for a new part. Okay, so I've got it all out, cleaned up. I just want to show you how this works, was supposed to work, what it does, without losing anything. A tricky little bugger to put together, but this is basically how it is when it's all together inside, and it works like that. Now, I looked at the workshop manual, and the workshop manual doesn't say there's anything more than what is already here. And when it's all together, show you why it fails, why it comes out. Okay, so that's it there, back together. And that's pretty much stuck in there. And so when you pull the, that's how it works. When it's got equal pressure on both sides, either side can, supposedly it's both come out equally, the handbrake goes on. Now when you've got not enough adjustment on here, and the handbrake is not loose like that, this pin can just slip out. Well, bad explanation right now, but yeah, that pin can come out, but that's not going to help this from being a problem again later. And what would help that prevention is that this here, you can see there's a mark there where the pin has rested like this, and that's obviously come out. So when that's gone like that, this has gone like this, and obviously it's not in where it should be, and the arm slips out, and that's the end of that. And you know, it comes out, and then you've got no handbrake. And you can also see on the lever there's a, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's a bit of a shine on there. That's where this pin rested like this as well. It came out. So that's everything that's in there. Now why, I don't know why they didn't put a bigger end on here, a bigger ball on the end of this pin to stop that from going all the way out, or why didn't they just make it solid. So what I'm going to do is find a way to keep this pin here solid in there so it can't lift out. Pretty much just make it a solid unit, and that should fix the problem with that coming out. I just want to have another look at that quickly here. So if that's level like that, so it'd have to be a rubber that I use, has to be flexible. This pin can't be solid. This pin is on a bit of an angle and straightens up when the handbrake's on, goes back on an angle like that when the handbrake's off. So a bigger bore on the end would have been a better job would have been a better option for this. Anyway, I'm going to get some, I think I'll find some fuel line or something like that I can pack in there to allow that flex with the rubber. I keep on dropping this pin, I tell you, I'll end up losing it. So that's going to be just keep that more stable. Slightly longer pin wouldn't have hurt, but I do have to say though, when you look at this here, now this obviously can't be, because this can be adjusted right out and that lever would still be the same there, and you think, yep, that's right, but there is it's rounded. I'll take that out actually. Sorry it's taking a bit longer in the clip, I just want to get down to the details, you know, so you can see exactly what's going on. Now you look at the end of this, well, I don't know what you would call that, it's basically like a bolt. It's rounded there, and it's rounded there as well. So you'd think that between these two there would have been a ball bearing, which kind of makes sense, that when the handbrake's off that would help with locking in, but not so. So I can't, well, I'm not going to try and modify these parts at all. I'm just going to try and give a bit of packing in here, maybe even at the end get a bit of packing, a little bit of rubber between there and the end, just to extend that pin just a little bit, just to give that a little bit more strength, a little bit more firmness in the mechanism itself. So I'll get to that, finish it up, and then I'll show you where I'm at. Okay, so that's back together, just testing it on the outside, and there's a handbrake there, that's working. It's freaking really hard on the, hurts the finger a bit, but you can see that functioning there. So I'll show you what I did. Got a bit of fuel line, where's the camera there? Got a bit of fuel line that I've jammed in there, jammed that pin in so it's not sitting loose. Get the pin in position. And with the brake pad on it works better, but there you go, that's hopefully that will prevent that pin coming out again. I'm not too worried about the boot because there's not really much involved in this area. So that's going to be how I'm going to fix that bit. It's just like that. I can't, the rubber was a little bit longer than that. I did have that rubber coming out probably to about there, and that stopped the handbrake mechanism from working. So you've got to get this rubber pretty much to where that is there, or trim it all the way back flush, because it does need, when it closes, it does need, if you've got rubber there, then it's not going to let that close properly. So it does need to be about that far back. Anyway, I'm sure there's other forms that other people try. This is just my idea, and this is what I'm doing. So I'm going to put all this back together now, put it back on the car, and adjust the handbrake. Alrighty, just about ready to put everything back together. Got some new rotors arriving on Monday, or I should say tomorrow. So I'll do the handbrake adjustment tomorrow. Anyway, just wanted to point out, don't forget this little clip here that holds the the e-brake pads in place. So it's very important that you don't forget that clip, and if you do lose that clip, make one. Doesn't look too hard. First of all, you want to take out the center part of the console to get to where the handbrake is. I've already done this. You need to loosen off the cable from in here all the way. And then you need to jack the car up. You can get away sometimes with just tensioning that part there, but too much tension down there causes the arms down here to pop out. So you're better off doing it this way. Now you will need to loosen the wheel off, already have. Don't take them out all the way just yet. They're loose. Jack the car up. Now make sure that you jack it up from the chassis and not by this lip here. So many people pick it up from here or from the floor there, and they push a big hole into the wall, into the floor, or they bend all this up. Get under the solid part of the chassis to jack it up, and have a stand ready to go under once you've got the car high enough. Okay, the next step here is you need to, well, you can just take this grommet out here and adjust it, but see the brakes already been like that from the disc brakes on the rotors. Doing that, you can't tell how much you need to adjust the handbrake. So I'm going to remove the caliper so that the rotor can spin freely, and if you really wanted to, you could adjust it by here and go to fill the arm on the back, and when it becomes solid, leave it as that. I prefer to go that little bit extra, so I get the caliper off, I can take the rotor off, I can adjust this part here a little bit easier, put the drum back on. I've got new rotors to go back on anyway, and yeah, I'll show you the next part. Okay, once you got the caliper off, that's only 2 bolts at the back. You want to get the old rotor off. That won't be used again. Okay, new rotor on. Just want to put a couple of wheel nuts on to hold it square. Okay, once you've done that, you can tell that she's spinning freely. It's all good. Now the handbrake disc, e-brake disc or parking brake, whatever you want to call it. Everybody seems to have a different name for it. We just want to exercise it to make sure that it's in position in there properly with the different rotor on. And you have to do this a few times, so I'm only going to show you this once. But basically that spins freely, and I can't hear that brake on the other side. Now it could be a perfect adjustment. I know it's not, but let's just say it was. And the adjustment down here is this just works clockwise, and this is a very old school way of doing things. They never upgraded this side here. Been like this for a long time. Anyway, so this needs to be turned wound in for the arm to come out. I'm going to turn that a little bit, put the rotor on. Actually, I'll just explain to you exactly what I'm going to do, because it could be a very long clip if I did it step by step. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to wind that in, so essentially the slave cylinder down the bottom there opens up more, and I'll put the rotor on. When I get to a point where I can put the rotor on, I spin it around, then I can hear that the handbrake discs are rubbing the disc. I'll go in the car, exercise the handbrake a bit, check it again, spin it around with the rotor on, and if the noise goes away, then I'll adjust a bit more, and I'll keep doing that until the point of, after exercising the handbrake, putting the rotor back on and making my adjustments. If the noise stays there, then I wind it back just a tap, and that's it. Put your rotor on and your job's done. With an old rotor, you're going to hear the noise all the time. You're going to need a bit of masonry paper to clean it up if you're going to reuse your old disc, because even that there now, I could probably show you actually. I'll put that back on. You know, you already heard the other one didn't make a noise because this has got rust on it. Can you hear that? There's a little bit of noise there. Anyway, you want to clean the old one up with masonry paper, probably like 1500 grit or something like that, something fine. You don't want to be making big deep scratches in it. Although with the handbrake, unless you're using the handbrake as a foot brake, that shouldn't really matter too much anyway if you was to use 800 or 400. I just like to keep things smooth. So that's pretty much that part there. Now when I get to the final step of I'm done, I'm going to show you where I'm at, and then I'll finish up. I've just noticed that the handbrake on this one, the arm's coming up. So I'll need to do the repair on this side like I did the other side. Okay, so handbrake part's fixed up on the back now, and this is what I'm talking about when you adjust the handbrake. Yeah, it's making that scratching noise there. When it does that, you want to come into the car, you want to work the handbrake a little bit, and I can actually see both cables coming in equally now. And then we'll come back to the rotor. You can just hear that little bit of noise still. Make sure that's properly off. I might back that off just a little bit, but that's pretty much where I need it to be. So now I'll back that off just so it's a little bit quieter than that, and then adjust the handbrake inside. Alright, now the final adjustment is the handbrake inside. Now if you do this, you can hear that resting. You can even see a bit of slack on that cable there. It wants to be lifted up like that, not like that. It needs to have a bit of tension on the lines, and that's all you need. So tighten it up until you get to that point there, and then that's it. Once you've done all that, handbrake's done, it's at the right height, we're all good. Alright, well thanks for watching, cheers.